Hi. Today I'm going to be talking a lot about self-reflection and the way that we as humans view, tend to view life as we go through life experiences. Um, and I have noticed a lot of people are feeling down and a little bit anxious and maybe sad or depressed, going through maybe some regret, nostalgia, wishing times where wish it was back in the day when, and wishing you could change this or that. And that's all part of self reflection. And I've been going through that also. Um, and one of the things that I've learned is to be careful not to focus on these thoughts for too long, because what happens is they will keep you stuck in a loop. Um, so this is how basically to get out of it. If you're stuck in this loop of self-reflection of, um, you know, going back to those thoughts like, I wish I still had those friends. Man, those were the days I was having such a great time. Everything seemed like perfect. Everything, was looking up for me. If you're having these feelings, this is a this is sort of like how to work through them. Not really like get over it, but how to work through these feelings. And this is what I have been going through. I've been working through these feelings myself. So it is healthy to reflect on past events, but what we really should be asking ourselves when we're doing this is, what can we learn from these experiences? Positive experiences and the negative experiences. If we're not as happy as we were, then what has changed? It's changed for a reason. It's not an accident, it's changed for a reason. So, what can we learn now by being in a different place in our lives, in a period in our lives, or in experiencing different feelings? Why are we not as happy? So, then write these feelings down, these reasons as to why we are not as happy as we used to be. Um, Whatever it is, we don't have the same friends, we're not going out as much, things are the same, whatever the reasons are, write them down and then go back through each one and try to actually think of something positive about each experience. So it's sort of like a counteracting exercise. Um, we might not be going out and doing the same things as much, but there has to be something that you're doing, that can counteract this. A positive thing that can counteract this, like whatever it is. Maybe you're not eating as much fast food because you're not doing such and such. Maybe you are doing, not watching it, not as overwhelmed. You might be depressed, but maybe you're not as stressed out as far as like busyness or something. Like there's some reason. Go through and find some reason um why, or I mean, some reason to counteract what these reasons as to why you're not as happy as you used to be. And as you're doing this, you are self-reflecting. So you have more time to focus on you, and there's always a reason why this happens. So there's got to be probably something in your life that needs attention, and that's why this change is occurring. So you could have been spending a whole lot of time with a certain group of people all of the time, and you were totally focused on them, and you weren't spending enough time with your family. So this could be one of the reasons. There could be multiple reasons, but this could be one of the reasons. Maybe you lost a little bit of connection with your family, or you don't have a good relationship with them, Or maybe it's vice versa. Maybe you were spending too much time with your family and you weren't getting out and socializing enough. And, or maybe you weren't, there's lots and lots of reasons. So, like, think about what exactly what is something I need to be picking up here? Like, what exactly am I supposed to be learning? What do I need to focus on? And, yeah. And it could be your health. Maybe, like, maybe it's your mental health. Maybe it's your physical health. That could be something that needs attention. You could be, oh, I'm going to talk about that, but, so sometimes as people, we get, we get stuck in our minds, and we uh, we don't pay as much attention to our spiritual selves, because we're not a body. We're not just a body. We're not like just a mind walking around in a body. There has to be a spirit inside of yourself. You can't just be, otherwise you would be a robot. Robots have computer minds and they can walk around and they can talk and have conversations. Otherwise you would be a robot. And we're not robots, right? At least most of us are not robots. Most of us are human beings. And so we have a spirit inside of our bodies. And we tend to kind of forget about our spirit selves. So, and our spirit selves are more in control than our actual self, because they are completely connected to the universe. Our spirit self and our soul is all connected to the universe. And we kind of think, when we get trapped in our minds, we think of ourselves as just individual people, and we forget that we're also something inside of this that is connected to everything. So that is why things happen, the way they do. So it's not an accident, and the feelings that you're experiencing are normal. And it's just about working through them. And that is really, really tough, because I'm working through them constantly all the time. So I understand, like, and I think if you're a human being and you have a conscience, you feel for people that are going through it. So anyway, but our spirit selves is often overlooked, and sometimes our spirit needs a break from certain situations. We don't usually think too much about this because we use our minds. I already just said that. We're connected to the Great Spirit, which is the universe, which is God. If you are neither religious or spiritual, I'm not religious at all, but I'm spiritual. And definitely connected, but totally another discussion. We don't often enough think about our spiritual health. Our spiritual health is important. So are these situations that I once enjoyed benefiting my spiritual growth? And this is tough, because this is where the real work occurs in your mind. Like, when you start thinking about your spirit and your spiritual growth, and you're like, okay, do I need a healthy spirit? But we still are stuck in our mind, so we still want to do these things that we did. And an example of this, I just went and saw Revolution at the Agora, and it was so great, and the music was awesome, and the sound was amazing. But it was a sold out show. It was really crowded. There was a lot of people drinking, and my spirit, because I am going through a spiritual awakening, my spirit did not like being around that much alcohol, because as you awaken your spirit, um, certain environments just, I mean, I went home and I was throwing up a bunch after the concert, and I had a really great time, but I really thought I was going to die. Just from being in that close of a situation with that many people that were under the influence. And you never know like what other people are doing before they people smoke cigarettes, people do other drugs. Um, you don't know what influence they were under. People, have the nicotine in their body, they have the drugs in their body, and they're drinking or whatever. And it was just, my spirit was, I really, when I left there, I thought I was going to die, and I came home and I puked my guts out. So, and it sucks because I love concerts. If you know me, I love concerts. That's like, that's my thing. Like, I love going to shows. I love crowded shows. I love being in environments, but that, unfortunately for me, is something that I have to be extremely careful about because my spirit self gets very sick, and then your spirit is connected to your body and it will come out. So yeah, I wanted to share that experience. Um, Another thing too that may happen is you decide to put yourself into old situations. Um, so you might be the opposite. You might be thinking you might be isolating yourself. You might throw yourself into old situations, and you may get stuck into old patterns of thinking. So know that every situation is a new experience, even if it is similar to an old event. So you might be with the same people, or with different people, you might be experiencing the same sort of situation or occurrence. Don't always expect the same outcome from a new experience. Just because it was that way before, it is new. So live in it, try to pay attention, see what you can learn from it. And this is if you want to become wiser and grow your consciousness. Maybe you don't want to pay attention. Maybe you don't want to grow your consciousness. You don't have to, but if you do, you become wiser and more aware, and you will become better equipped mentally when life decides to throw curveballs at you. I wrote thank you. I was saying thank you to the universe. Thank you, universe. Okay. Thank you, universe. Thank you. Okay, and this part is about thoughts and reactions. Thoughts based on present circumstances, categorizing thoughts into positive and negative. You start doing this sometimes when you start becoming more aware. You will paying attention to your actual thoughts. You may categorize them, and it may be extremely frustrating when this happens because you're like, why am I thinking this horrible thought? But they just come, and you gotta, well, you don't have to, but your mind sometimes starts to categorize them. So when a thought comes up that is judgmental, an opinion of somebody or judging a situation, and sometimes it's not, maybe not even judgment, sometimes it's just thoughts and opinions based on what you see, like people walking by. When people, just like being aware of your surroundings, like we're living in it, we're experiencing it, and we're like, but actually sitting back and paying attention to everything. People walk by, you hear them talking, okay? You hear them talking. What are there any thoughts that come to mind about these people or this car driving by? It might be like they have a nice shirt, or they have a nice hat, or I like her shoes, or whatever. So you start, paying attention, and then you sort through your thoughts. Like, some you might witness a situation of like somebody being rude to somebody. This is something, you might see somebody being rude to somebody else, and you're like, you form a judgment or opinion. Okay, this is sort of really difficult. Um, and sometimes sometimes you might stick up for that person. It depends on how severe the situation is. Um, but just to be a bystander and watch certain situations, like and try to not form an opinion about the situation because you don't really know exactly what's going on. So there's certain situations, obviously, that you like might step in or something if like somebody's in danger or like somebody's really and you're there, you might step in. But like otherwise, you just kind of sit back but also in your mind to not form opinions about the situation and to sort of just observe. And one thing, not just observing people, but going outside and just like watching nature. Like the bees, the bees are so beautiful. And they have little antennas, and if it's a honeybee, they have like fur on them. And praying mantises, there were so many praying mantises last summer. Just like observing them and noticing how beautiful and interesting they are can really take your mind off of current situations that are going on in your life, even if it's just for a little while. You might come right back to that, and that's all part of working through it. But just focused, try not to think about everything else and just like focus, like wow, wow. That's like sort of how it feels. Wow. Um, this is another thing about reactions, like how we respond to our environment. Sometimes somebody might be walking by and talking to themselves or something like that. And it sounds like something that you're going through and they're just walking by. And you're like, are they talking about me? Like, this is something that happens sometimes. Um, they might look at you funny. They might look up at you like, or whatever, and you're like thinking, what are they looking at? Like, what are they looking at? And like, you know, they probably aren't talking about you, and they probably aren't looking at you funny. But if they are, how we react, some people have a lot of aggression inside. Some people might literally be like, what are you looking at? So before you make that reaction, think, who cares? So what if they're looking at me weird? And instead of reacting to them, react to yourself and be like, why am I wondering why? Why am I wondering why? Or whatever. Because we're so quick to have a reaction as humans that we forget sometimes that we don't have to react it's a choice. We don't have to react if we don't want to. It's a choice. Okay. And then this is the last thing that I was thinking about today is expectations. So doing something and expecting a particular outcome, or saying something to someone and expecting a certain reply. Like when you say thank you to somebody, you expect them to say you're welcome. But what if they don't say you're welcome? Sometimes that sits with us. Like, we can't control other people. We can't control what they say. We can't control their outcome, their response, and we cannot expect the same thing from others as we do ourselves. We just can't do it. As much as we would like to do it, we would like, we live in and then we learn, and we would like everyone to know what we know, but people don't know what everyone knows. So you cannot expect somebody to say you're welcome, and you have to learn to sort of let that roll over. Yeah. Let that roll over. Like, say thank you because you are grateful. Thank you. You don't have to get a you're welcome. Thank you because you're grateful. You don't have to get a you're welcome, and you have to, okay, I don't need a you're welcome. I said thank you because I'm grateful and I mean thank you. So, but your mind sometimes wants to hear certain things to make yourself feel better. But we have to learn to work through these things and roll over and make ourselves feel better. And that's how we grow as humans, and being more mindful and aware. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope that it if it resonates with you and you learn something, take something from it. I'm really thankful to you for watching, and I wish everybody the best. Thank you.